All right, let's just jump right in, shall we? This is Temur Phoenix. This is Ryan Overturf's deck list from the Open that his team ended up winning. And last time we played this deck, it was one of the easiest 5-0s we've ever had. So we're going to go ahead and just dive into some more matches. Yeah, Mythic Championship was great. And I really feel like this standard format is a testament to the fact that, like, good solved formats can still be good, right? Because, like, there was nothing surprising really that came out of the Mythic Championship, especially with the top 8. There were a couple, like, sweet little brews, but, like, for the most part, there was just, like, all decks that we knew about going in, and, like, it was still, like, good, clean Magic. Still good, great, entertaining to watch, etc., etc. How does it feel like mostly good decks in the modern queue? Exciting, Chalky. I dread the mornings much less when we have good decks to start. Is this the best creature toolbox deck in modern? This is not a creature toolbox deck. Get out of here. This is just a Phoenix deck that's playing 8 copies of Phoenix. It's great. It's certainly wonderful, but it's not a creature toolbox deck. Alright, this is an easy keep here. We got a little bit of interaction in case they're trying to race us. Probably lead on Serum Visions here, digging for copies of... Alright, so we're getting Bogles. Bogles is probably a really bad matchup for this deck. We can try and race them, however, I'd imagine it's not going to be a good scene for us. Perfect, there's a Manamorphose. So I'm going to go ahead and fetch a basic island here and cast Serum Visions to start. We are just looking for more copies of Phoenix. Oh, I have Thing in the Ice. Right, we do have Thing in the Ice. I forgot about that. I'm nowhere near being able to turn on Traverse the Ulvenwald, right? I guess I'm not that far off. So I can go... Yeah, I have land, sorcery, instant, creature, and then... So this is actually on next turn. Okay, so I'm going to bottom the Misty, top this. And that'll be... So next turn, we'll go Manamorphose into red-green, Faithless Looting, ditch the bird, and then we'll be able to traverse for Thing in the Ice. Okay. Huh. Now do I take 30 seconds and kill the core Spirit Dancer? I think I take 30 seconds and bolt the Spirit Dancer. So I'm gonna lead on Serum Visions then. Digging for Thing in the Ice and more Phoenixes. Well, that's truly wonderful. Huh. Do I keep the Bauble? I don't really need the Bauble, right? Let me top the crap out of that one, though. Bolt this. What do you think the pros and cons are of this list versus straight blue-red Phoenix? So, I would like the record to reflect before I say this. I have limited experience with these archetypes in general, but I have been consistently underwhelmed with straight blue-red Phoenix. It always feels like it's missing that last little bit of oomph, and I was super impressed with this configuration of this feels... The green splash is basically free. No, I don't want to Thought Scour during my upkeep because I want to make red-green here. So that way I can cast Traverse this turn and go find a Thing in the Ice. I think it's important that I go get Thing this turn. I'm going to put this into play tapped. That way I can not take damage. The question is, do I want to race here? I'm probably winning this race, right? I'm probably winning this race. I can always stop and chump block next turn. Like, if they had a Rancor, they would have played it. Of course, they are going to get 2 draws here because they're going to draw with the Horizon Canopy. can't beat a Daybreak. I don't know that we're in a can't beat a Daybreak position with the Thing in the Ice in our hand. We can't beat Daybreak plus Path to Exile, which they often have some Path in the main. Why are pro Magic players always so twitchy and restless with shuffling their hands and touching library? Well, the shuffling your hand while you play Magic is actually a tactical thing. It's to your advantage to always be shuffling the cards that are in your hand, so that way your opponent doesn't know if the card you're playing is a card that you drew that turn or a card that you've been holding on to for a little bit. So we start with Thing in the Ice, Thought Scour myself here, I think. We're just looking for any 4th land, because once I find a 4th land, I can snap Manamorphose, which will give us double green for these Traverse the Ulvenwalds. Yikes. So I'm probably just supposed to hit them for 6 here, and then if they miss, I guess I don't have them dead next turn regardless, because if they miss, they just, like, don't attack, and if they hit, they kill me. So, like, what cards do they have that kill me here? They have Rancor. Rancor is lethal. Daybreak Coronet is lethal. Ethereal Armor is lethal. I think I'm supposed to leave a Phoenix back here. And then hopefully we find a green source of Manamorphose or any land next turn will do it, because I can snap Manamorphose. So I'm leaving back Arclight so I can block this Glade Cover Scout. Yep. Bolt Snap Bolt does not lock the game up for the person that mentioned that. There's a Leyline of Sanctity in play. Just for reference, things to be aware of. Also worth noting, these copies of Traverse currently do not have Delirium. Yeah, I think Cinderbine's probably is a fine modern card. I'm gonna make red, green. I'm gonna bolt this before I cast. And this Traverse, I actually don't have basics left in my deck. Oh, I can kill the Phoenix. That's such a good line. Okay, yeah, so if I bolt my own Phoenix there, they die, right? That's a good catch. Thank you for pointing that out. They're probably still dead regardless, but I could have killed them this turn if I kill my own Phoenix there instead of killing their core Spirit Dancer. Because the Phoenix would come back because I played Manamorphose, Bolt, and Traverse the Ulvenwald. Yeah, they don't have outs here, so we're fine, but definitely could have killed them that turn. There actually aren't ways to interact with enchantments in the sideboard, which is probably not unreasonable just because, like, our Thing in the Ices are good here. I think I'm going to trim Crackling Drake. Gutshot's pretty bad here. Lightning Axe is bad too. Maybe I just leave in Gutshot as a free thing. I didn't kill all the creatures. I returned them to their controller's hand by flipping a copy of Thing in the Ice. It's the best Seraph of the Scales deck. Probably Black White Angels. It's my favorite one. Yeah, basically Burgle. Nah, Macabre for Rancor is real narrow. I think I'd rather just, like, leave a Gutshot in. I could maybe keep bringing Dispel, because they're going to have Path to Exile. But that might be a little bit too much interaction. I think I'd rather just, like, have a Gutshot. Extra free spell, like making your things flip faster or your birds come back sooner is, like, pretty good. So this build of Phoenix is a little bit more consistent than the straight blue-red Phoenix, but it's also more susceptible to graveyard hate. The way it's going on, because it's playing the the things it has. No, I don't really own other physical Magic cards, Lucas, so... This is a keep. This hand doesn't really do anything, so I think it's a mulligan. I've got a redraw on the Bauble, but like Spell Pierce and Negate aren't really Stellar Magic the Gathering cards. Alright. This hand's got 2 birds and a bunch of cantrips in it. The real reason I wanted to ship that last hand back too is because while it had like some interaction, it didn't have a thing in the ice and it didn't have any cantrips to get anywhere that I wanted to be going. So like it was just kind of stuck doing nothing. Nice, Lord. So we're going to start with Serum Visions here off of a Steam Vent. I drew a land, and there's 2 lands on top of my deck. So we're going to bottom these, I think. We're just looking for Thing in the Ice, basically, in this matchup. Or at this point, a Faithless Looting, get these Arclight Phoenixes out of our hand. Yep. That Spirit Mant is actually one of the less scary things they can put on. It just gives it 1/1 and protection from creatures, so not super concerned about that. Let's go ahead and Bauble myself here. There's an island on top of my deck. I don't really want to put that one on my bin, and I don't want to draw it, so let's just fetch it away. I think I fetch Shock just in case I draw a Traverse at this point. So it could find me a Thing in the Ice. Second Lightning Bolt is not a stellar pickup. Do I know what happened to your clickbait deck in the queue? I think we played something with Vendilion Click for it at one point. I don't remember. I should have marked it. I don't think I marked it. If you're not happy with a random Vendilion Click deck that we ended up playing, feel free to drop me a DM, Justin, and we can get you sorted out if you had something specific in mind. Manamorphose is not a bad pickup here. It means if we find a Faithless Looting, we can maybe get something going. Alright, we did find a Looting. We found a Blood Moon. Oh, I forgot I put Blood Moon in my deck. Huh. So they have a 3/2. They have a 3/2. So if I shock, I'm dead in 3 right now. Yeah, do I slam? The problem is I'm dead in 3, so that gives me 2 more turns. They hit me to 4, I get a turn. They hit me to 1, I get a turn. So I have like 2 turns to get set up and flip a Thing in the Ice, which I feel like I'm supposed to have Faithless Looting this turn, just because I kind of need to get Thing in the Ice down next turn. The only outs to Spirit Mantle we have are Thing in the Ice. So I think like they haven't done anything. They didn't do anything scary last turn. I think I'm supposed to Faithless Looting this turn. Okay. This fetch land is not super useful just because it means that, well... Alright, so I have to draw Manamorphose here. No, it's definitely enough best case scenario. I draw Manamorphose, and I send the idiots back from whence they came. See if they have a Path to Exile here or not. Yeah, alright, we done. That's fine. That's why you play. That's why I enjoy playing Magic as a best of 3 game. Yeah, so like one of the things you need to realize is that like if you're all doom and gloom and you're like, well, there's nothing I could do if they have their best possible card, you might as well just like not even play Magic, right? Like the thing you have to do when you're playing Magic the Gathering is like identify the things that you have the ability to beat, and then like it's okay if you like make note of the things you can't beat, but you don't sit there and play around the things that you can't beat, because then you're never gonna win games of Magic if you just concede every time there's something you can't beat, because there's always going to be things you can't beat. That's just how Magic works. Yeah, like... So, it's okay to just lose sometimes. There's almost always gonna be cards that you're like, well, if they have their thing, I'm just dead. Like, that's just how Magic goes. Is he eating a fish? Is eating a fish? Nah, Zagana's fine, dude. I'll find a Crisis. Don't worry about it. I'll be a-okay. So we're nowhere near having... Nowhere near having Delirium on, per usual. Yeah, if we flipped a creature or Bauble, we could have hit it, and we hit land instead. I guess we were kind of close there, right? If I would have hit Artifact or creature. I drew another Traverse. It feels bad, man. I think I just have to bottoms up here. Maybe it's keep. Actually, it's gonna be keep Faithless Looting, so that way I'm gonna keep the Faithless Looting, so that way I can get some extra looks towards a creature or an artifact to turn these Traverses into Thing in the Ices. Yikes. Well, we did cast Thought Scour, missed on a 4th card to begin. This has basically just been like my modern story with these Traverse the Ulvenwald. It's just like every other deck we played Traverse has just been like incredibly hard to enable. And like one of the reasons why it's so reasonable in this specific deck that we're playing here today is just because it's a card that's like okay as just a card that's like finding us a land some of the time, because it like brings back Phoenixes when it does that. So I held on to these Manamorphose for a hot second just because I wanted to be able to flip Thing in the Ice if we drew it. Unfortunately, I'm dead on board, so I don't really have the ability to get Blood Moon down here before we do anything. We're looking for more copies of Phoenix here, so that way I can put multiple Phoenixes into play. Or a land even. Land, Phoenix, Faithless Looting. Although I guess looting, or I guess land doesn't do it at this point. That's a bolt. Alright, I think I'm cycling this other Manamorphose here now as well. Just because I would like to give myself the most chances to hit a second Phoenix. That's a Steam Vent. So what does Steam Vents let me do? It doesn't really accomplish anything, right? It's just flashback Faithless Looting here is the line, because I don't have 4 card types in my bin. Well, there's the Thing in the Ice. We're dead. We're just dead to Path to Exile again, unfortunately. Shocking. Shocking to 2 to protect my Thing from Path to Exile doesn't make sense because then I die to trample damage. What's going on, Azenta? Thanks for the 20 months. I appreciate that. Welcome, welcome, welcome back. Thanks for keeping me around. I assume they have Path here because they just like didn't do anything last turn. Yeah, good games. Just did a whole lot of nothing and then died. Just like sat there spinning, and that is what I feel like. This build of Phoenix has less games like that than the blue-red deck, but like games like that are why the straight blue-red Phoenix deck is something I've never been really impressed with, because it feels like there's so many games like that one where you just like kind of spin your tires and don't do anything. And we got a little bit unfortunate to not be able to activate Traverse the Ulvenwald there. Like we had a lot of looks at things to turn it on, but then when we didn't end up getting to turn it on, we just didn't do anything. No, ASMR Jun friend means we're going to talk in my soft voice for the league. Because some people are into that sort of thing. I live to please. Yeah, this is fine. Morning onset nonsense. Stop it, AGH. Stop it. Get out of here. The hand we kept that game was perfectly fine. It was a hand. If you don't want to keep hands like I kept in that third game last game, you just can't play this deck. The reason why this deck is unplayable if you don't keep hands full of cards that draw other cards. That's how this deck works. That's why it's functional. Like, you don't like all of a sudden change your deck or like start mulligan anymore just because you got unlucky. That's like, don't play Magic if that's going to be your case. Wild Feather, thanks for the 6 months. I appreciate the half a year. Welcome back. Thanks for keeping me around. And Rhiannon, thanks for the quarter of a year. Thanks for the Basil Bucks, folks. I appreciate you continuing to ship those my way every month. Recommendation for a budget deck to get your feet wet. First, I would like to prefix this statement with you need to understand that budget modern. Geez, Malia, thanks for the 13 months. Welcome back. And Sabanite, thanks for the 5. I appreciate it, folks. Hope everyone's having a good Monday and a good start to their week. You need to understand that budget modern is still incredibly expensive. So with that in mind, if you go to my website and look at the Green Black Elves deck, there is a link to a primer that includes a budget version of that deck that's about $300, I believe. And that's about $300 is about as cheap as budget modern decks get. Do 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 do. Do 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 do. Welcome to Modern. Welcome to Modern. Do 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 do. I'm really glad reality is setting in. I'm super pleased. Like, after we had the super easy 5-0 last time, like, having reality, like, rear its head and punch us in the throat is, like, pleasant. Daryl Fish, thanks for the tier 1 sub. I appreciate that. Welcome. Thanks for keeping me around. Yeah, relatively cheap to build in Modern is still incredibly expensive by most metrics, though. Like, cheap Storm is $300. Cheap Elves is $300. For people wondering, I just conceded that match because our opponent was playing some kind of Tron deck full of Chalice of the Voids on one, and I'm not dealing with that this morning. We don't play our decks against piles of hate cards on this format. Reality is often disappointing. Yep. All right, so against turn 1 Celestial Colonnade, we want to fetch for non-basics pretty aggressively, so that way we have our 2 basics left in our deck for when they Path to Exile our stuff eventually. So here's the thing. Whenever I talk about, like, what I said there's a bunch of people poking up and offering other suggestions in chat. I get it. There's a lot of decks that are Modern legal, that are cheaper than $300, that are piles of garbage. The person asked me for a reasonable Modern deck, and I get it. I could tell you 60 basic islands is basically free. Your LGS will probably give them to you, and that's a Modern legal deck. You're not gonna have a good time with it, though. What's the reason for moving away from Nettle Sentinels? I'd really encourage you to go watch, like, the hundreds of videos Rhiannon, or, like, read the article that I wrote. I've addressed that point pretty constantly. Something that I've talked about a lot. Alright, so we're going to go ahead and bauble the top of our deck here before we cast the Serum Visions. Don't want to draw Lightning Bolt in this matchup, so I'm going to crack this fetch before I cast Serum Visions. These Modern decks sound cheap, right? Magic in and of itself is kind of a luxury card game, and, like, Modern and Legacy are, like, on a whole other level past that even. Yeah, like, Manaless Dredge is this thing that, like, people register, and it's full of Legacy legal Magic cards, but it isn't good. Things that it's not good. Alright, so we're playing against blue-white control, or Jeskai, probably blue-white with the Field of Ruin. I think I'm going to Manamorphose, which puts me up to Delirium here. And then probably just Traverse for a Snapcaster Mage to get some value going. And then we can snap Traverse to get Crackling Drake next turn. You're so mean, Burgle. Why are you so mean? I like this play from my opponent. They're Snapcastering in response to my Thing in the Ice trigger that's going to bounce this. Just, like, getting that free Snapcaster value. Love it. My body is super ready for them to play Jason Unsummon this Awoken Horror next turn. Are you ready for it? I'm ready for it. Morning, Kala. Life is swell. Life is swell. My wife and I almost finished clearing out our old house so we can get some contractors in to get some work done before we sell. So that's exciting. There's like just garbage that I have to haul out at this point. So we're finally officially moved into the new place. We're playing Snapcaster Mage out as just a blocker here. So if I gut shot, oh, with the bounce trigger on the stack. Yeah, you're super right. I should have done it with the bounce trigger on the stack. I was thinking I can't gut shot it in response to it coming into play because it would flip my thing in the ice again, put the flip trigger on. But once the flip trigger was on the stack, yeah, you're super right that I could and should have done that. That's exciting. All right, so let's put this into play. Let's cast Faithless Looting. Huh. So if I hit another Phoenix, I can kill them here, right? If I hit another Phoenix, I can kill them here. Rats. All right, so I'm gonna ditch the second gut shot. And this Bauble. I'm gonna gut shot this. I'm putting them on no path to exile because they played the Snapcaster Mage out aggressively. If they had a path, they would have pathed us. And like now they're at 3 and I can kill them with Snap Bolt. Untap, kill you. They know about the Snapcaster Mage, and they're like, there's a lightning bolt in my bin, so. One of your finest bolts upstairs, please. Why not flip second thing? Because it couldn't attack, so it didn't matter. I just normally you don't play and flip thing in the same turn, so that's a fair question. Normally that's just like not an option. Nice Wrath kill you, yep. So I think Lightning Bolt, how do we feel about Lightning Bolt versus Gut Shot in this matchup? Gut Shot's free. Costs you 0 mana. You pay 2 life. You think Bolt's better than Gut Shot? Okay. I think it's close. The reach is probably important. This is a Blood Moon matchup. I think this is probably a Blood Moon matchup. Jace needs to die. Yeah, that's a fair assessment. It also can like kill Teferi too. Atrophied, thanks for the 3/4 of a year. Welcome back. Hope you're having a good one. This seems reasonable. Gut Shots, Lightning Axe out. Spell Pierce, Dispel, Blood Moon in. Yeah, Magus is probably fine here. That's fair. I'm gonna trim the 4th bolt. Let's do it. Okie doke. Oh, you know what? I wonder, yeah, I was just gonna say that. I wonder, someone mentioned Rip. I wonder if, I think I'm probably supposed to, I'm probably supposed to cut a Traverse against the Rest in Peace deck. I think that's probably a good suggestion. Alright, this is my TT. My TT is amazing. Search. So Some Manamorphose. Okay. I milled my basic mountain, which is super unfortunate. You think we're supposed to traverse for a mountain? I guess that does get us guaranteed to the third land, huh? Hey, Brando. Thanks for the 5th month in a row. I appreciate that. Thanks for your Bezo bucks this way. Yep. Yeah, definitely should have. Should have gotten my mountain there. And now I've milled my mountain, so I can't correct the situation. Hit the Stomping Ground at least. That's good for us. Hey, Chewy. Thanks for the Prime support. Good morning. I forgot about your Prime sub. Don't do that. I appreciate the remembrance. Sam J. Stanton, thank you for the 12 months. I appreciate the entire year. I knight the Defender of the Realm. Go force and protect us. From Twitch chat. The worst part about clicking no here, that means they get to know that this Field of Ruin is now a wasteland. Yep. Red source. Red source. Am I done? I feel like I'm done. If I'd have been able to slam Magus there. If I'd been able to slam Magus there, we'd have been okay to steal this game. Now, the Eternal Queue's actually been shrinking, Chalky. It was 6 weeks deep when I started. When I started doing only 1 deck a day, so it's moving just fine. I reject a lot of decks. Pyromangus, thanks for the 5-month resub there. I appreciate that. Welcome back. Thanks for keeping me around. All right. It's unfortunate that this is our 1 Dispel and not a Spell Pierce. If this had been a 3rd Spell Pierce out of the sideboard, that would be fine. I mean, it's only 6 weeks if you donate the minimum amount. If you send in extra dollars, you wait less. The standard queue, if you send in a $10 donation, is about 4 to 5 weeks too. I think that's just how the system works. Timothy, thanks for the 4 months. I appreciate that. Well, I'll be here. I hope your knee feels better. Everlife Reaper, thanks for sending the Bezo bucks this way. I appreciate it. Gruntle, thanks for the $1 tip. When am I cutting off donations for current standard? I don't know. It depends on how big the queue is. You mean like as we move up towards rotation? I think I just shocked this in impasse. Yeah, the deck queue system here has always worked pretty well since we picked it up. Yeah, you just you need to open your connections tab and it should be back again. It takes up to an hour to sync sometimes, as a heads up though. So if you fell off, you gotta wait for it to resync. Okay, maybe Blood Moon can steal this game. That would be sweet. Yeah, it depends on how many decks are in there when we get to the end of March Hider. So I assume deck Q donations are going to slow down a little bit the closer we get to set release. So I'm actually going to go ahead and fetch a non-basic here. And the reason I'm doing this, I don't really want Blood Moon to be a card that's on their radar this game. I'm not just going to jam this Blood Moon into... I'm not going to jam the Blood Moon into 2 open mana here. Yeah, if they would have tapped out, I'd have just jammed, but Traverse the Ulvenwald. Do I want to draw Traverse the Ulvenwald? I don't think so at this point. I'm going to fetch that away before I flash back this Faithless Looting. Hey, there's our basic. And then Spell Pierce is a great draw here because it means next turn I can play Blood Moon while holding Spell Pierce up. Field of Ruin feels a little bit bad here because it does mean that they can use that to basically wasteland me. That's so aggressive. Unfortunate that I drew both my basics this game. I mean, they don't know that I have this island, Bogles, so like that was just like super aggressive, and since they don't have anything, so they're doing it because they don't have anything. Yep. And that's like one of those games like this game's such a good example. Jaminson, thanks for the Twitch Prime, I appreciate that, welcome. Of why Blood Moon's just such a miserable Magic the Gathering card. Like you're either no matter what happens with a card like Blood Moon, like somebody leaves disappointed. You either like cast your Blood Moon and it didn't have a text box, you're like disappointed that you had Blood Moon in your deck because your opponent got lucky and drew their basics, or you cast Blood Moon and your opponent didn't draw their basics and then they don't get to play Magic. So like regardless of what happens with the card, somebody walks away with like a bad taste in their mouth, which is generally a sign of bad game design. Like if someone's always upset with something, like it's probably not good. Probably not going to. That's not like the type of emotions you want to elicit, generally speaking. Adding a third basic. A third basic seems reasonable, Vortex. We definitely, that match especially, really, we likely would have been in a place to win had we had another basic in our deck. Yeah, I think I would cut Traverse as opposed to cutting a Steam Bends. Half of one rounded up is lethal. I mean, like, the cards that we joke about fun being zero-sum, like, those are the types of cards in general. Like, there's a reason why you don't find those style of cards in Standard anymore, right? Because they're cards that, like, as we understand game design better, like, we understand they're not good game design. They're cards that don't make for what the average person considers an interesting or meaningful game. Yeah, exactly. Like, if I mean, so, like, I think we're probably still losing that game, but if I'd have had a fourth land there from having another basic, we would have been able to Spell Pierce the Jace there, right? Does Hurley ship to Canada? I believe they do worldwide. You can definitely drop a message to them. It's not bugged on Arena. Half of one rounded up should be one. If it says rounded up, then that's correct. You should die. The direction it's rounding in matters there. I think I'm gonna hold the Serum Visions for posting in the ice. Honestly, after playing a bit of Temur Phoenix and playing a bit of Blue-Red Phoenix, I don't think there's good reasons to play the Blue-Red build over the Temur build. This deck is playing a very small green splash to give you more access to your best card. I think in Modern with fetch lands and stuff, there are very few compelling reasons to not just like splash for Meaningful Addition. Cutting the Drake's an interesting thought. I agree with you that having a one-of card that's good against Graveyard Hate doesn't make sense when you can't tutor for it because they're going to have Graveyard Hate. So I agree with that takeaway. Hey, Kidamo. Thanks for the second month Twitch Prime sub. Welcome back. Thanks for keeping me around. I think I'm keeping both of these. Cycle this here. I am of the opinion that the straight Blue-Red Phoenix deck feels mediocre. It feels like this linear combo deck that's not particularly consistent or fast. I do not like the straight Blue-Red Phoenix deck. I do not like it, Sam-I-Am. Hey. Thanks for the 10 months in D-Terror. Hope you're having a good one. Faithless Looting's a great one. So we're gonna lead on Serum Visions here. So that way we can give ourselves the most possible digs to another bird this turn. They is a gender neutral pronoun, or a pronoun that you use to refer to a group of people. So the Altars also works with other people in their business. So if you're uncertain, using they is a good neutral middle place to be. So next turn, I can traverse. So confused between the sub-month and sub-streak. So basically, the sub-streak means the number of months in a row. So that means you've subbed 16 months total at some point in history Punishing Waterfalls, but the last 14 months have been in a row. So there was a gap in there between some of your months. Is basically what it means. Alp, thanks for the half a year. Welcome back. I appreciate it. I'm just going to get an Arclight Phoenix here. And then next turn, if I Faithless Looting into a red source, I can Faithless Looting, ditch the bird, Gutshot them, Lightning Bolt them. Nia May, thanks for the 10 months. I appreciate that. Welcome back. Thanks for keeping me around. Manamorphose is a phenomenal draw here. Although it is worth noting my opponent does have a Stubborn Denial available to them here. Am I Dwarf Lord? Thank you for the half a year. Welcome back. I'm 1 point short of lethal here, right? I can gut shot them down to 7. I bolt them to 4, and then this attacks them to 1. Am I supposed to put them to 1 here? If I put them to 1, this Death Shadow's a 12-12, and I die. You don't think we can beat Temur Battle Rage anyways? I don't know if that's strictly true. The problem with... I guess putting them to 1 cuts them off of shocks and fetches next turn, which is nice. The problem is it's not just making them have Temur Battle Rage. Like, people are talking about making them have Temur Battle Rage. You need to understand the lines that you're doing. Like, this is also letting them have, like, Lightning Bolt next turn, or, like, basic land Snapcaster Mage Lightning Bolt. Like, they have more than Temur Battle Rage that effectively makes us lose the game. No, the front page Mondays was just a January thing. If we were going to be on the front page on Mondays, I wouldn't be playing Magic Online. This matchup seems pretty rancid. I have, like, a Lightning Axe as extra interaction and then nothing else really going on. Like, Death Shadow is really good against these blue-red style decks. Our deck can just race them, which is nice, but we don't really have good tools here. Do I want Spell Pierce versus Gut Shot is just a little bit of interaction? I think that's the case. Meme Monday turned into Bad Deck Monday. And one of the things, the problem with the way Modern has developed, Modern has just gotten more brutal and efficient. So the decks that aren't tiered fringe decks tend to just get demolished more and more often. Modern's gotten very close to Legacy in that the decks that are good are much better than the decks that aren't good. And just like setting $60 on fire every Monday while we play terrible decks is not ideal. This hand just doesn't do anything. Yeah, you know, this hand's got some TTs in it. I would love a bird. Thank you for asking. How much entry is each of these Modern leagues? A minimum of it's $7. If you lose all of your matches, it costs you $7 to play the cheaper Modern League. If you lose all of your matches, it costs you $12 to play a cheaper Modern League. So here's the thing, though. So, like, whenever I bring up, like, it loses me a bunch of money when we lose a bunch of Modern Leagues, people are like, oh, well, other people are paying for that. Well, sure, but other people are also paying for me to, like, not lose a bunch of money playing Standard, right? So, like, if my options are break even or make money, making money is a better option for me, right? Flash, thanks for the Prime support. I appreciate that. Thanks for shipping your Bezo bucks this way this month. But yeah, any money I put into Magic Online is tax deductible come tax season. It's just like, you know, still want to make smart decisions with what I do. Yeah, there was a small window where they both existed. And like again, like it just feels real bad, right? Like this league really made this deck for me feel like blue red Phoenix felt in previous leagues. So I'm starting to think that we just got really lucky last time we played this deck. Because, like, this feels like the clunky, inconsistent, kind of volatile combo deck that we played when we played Blue-Red Phoenix. Just, like, does not feel super trim. I think I'm in for all of these. maybe. I don't know. I think there's a good chance we're just dead here. And in general, I'm not a huge fan of these Phoenix decks. I know they've had a lot of success, and if you enjoy playing them, more power to you. But as far as like good linear modern decks are concerned, this has felt consistently worse to me than other good linear modern decks have felt. So I guess I should. So I know someone just put a cap in chat about me saying it's inconsistent, but I guess I should validate that or comment on the type of inconsistency I'm talking about. The rate at which, so given infinite time, this archetype's going to be very consistent in the games that it's playing, right? Like, it's got Faithless Looting, it's got Serum Visions, it's got Thought Scour, it's got Traverses. Like, it can find the cards that it's interested in getting. The problem is that Modern is this incredibly brutal, efficient format, and you just don't have time in so many of these matches to spend time spinning your wheels, casting all of these cards that don't impact the board. And if anybody has even just a smallest lick of interaction, you just get run over. Like we saw against Bogles, and we saw against Blue White and Death Shadow there, just like they had a little bit of interaction. Like we could have raced them, but they just like blew on our creatures, and they fell over, and we lost the game because of it, because we didn't have enough there to reassemble what was going on. Time Lord, thanks for the Prime support. I appreciate that. Welcome. Yeah, I agree, Tumultuary. Those are the types of decks that you should be playing. You should be playing decks that are brutal, efficient, and win very quickly. That have just a little bit of interaction in them, while also being very capable of racing. I think we both ran below average this league. And this archetype ultimately isn't that powerful. And again, this is one of the reasons I've actually enjoyed playing less Modern, because getting into discussions about this with people is just like very frustrating for me a lot of the time. The thing about Modern is that there are certain types of decks like Blue-White Control and Jeskai, for instance, that good Magic players tend to gravitate towards. And good Magic players are going to put up good results with mediocre decks just because they're playing better Magic than what their opponents are playing. And I think this is a style of deck that appeals to players who tend to be better at Magic on average than their opponents. And again, I don't have data to justify that because good data doesn't exist. It's just like, it doesn't. For Magic, it's all incomplete and small sample size and all this other biases and crap that means I can't draw meaningful conclusions from it. But in my incredible amounts of experience playing Modern, I think there are a lot of decks like this and like Blue-White Control, like Jeskai, that are propped up by the play skill of the people who are playing it. Would be my takeaway. Can I have some time out of my day? Thank you. Let it rip for the 2 months in a row. Welcome back. So, I think we ran good the last time we 5-0'd with this deck. I think we ran poorly when we 0-4'd with it. And I think the reality of it being kind of another mediocre Modern deck that's like kind of linear but also kind of clunky is probably the reality somewhere in the middle. Is like that's where the truth often lies, somewhere in the middle, right? Like, so I was less impressed with this last time than last time, obviously, because we ran good versus running bad. And I do think my one meaningful takeaway is someone mentioned that we should have a third basic. And I think that's probably not unreasonable. Cutting a Traverse for a third basic does not seem like a terrible idea.